My name is Ndi, and I work here at Relationship Australia in a program called Peace Multicultural Services, where we focus most of our work working with called communities.
I'm Ben, I'm a community support worker. I also work at Peace program, so we work in the same team. When it comes to service, a lot of people who are new here, like new migrants and new students, and when it comes to using service, apparently, in Australia we have to give them forms. So they have to sign a form, confidentiality form, consent form, and privacy form, all that kind of things. So when it comes to black and white, a lot of people who actually came from their own cultures, they never sort of never did this in their life. And maybe they did once or something for a very important thing, for a contract, which has something to do with job. But when they do this, they're very cautious. What is that? Why I have to do a lot of things like this? So a sense of confidentiality is something which is quite new, and I know it's a very important thing in this country. So that actually is a part of our job, which is to help them to feel prepared about this, because maybe in their in China, the country where I came from, and when we come to service, and we probably don't need to go through a lot of form. Just say, just tell me about what you want to say. But here we have to go through a procedure and things like that. So we have to. It's our responsibility to help them to feel more prepared.
Absolutely.
That's important.
And it brings back, the point Ben is making about trust. The minute you start putting things on paper, it raises that concern of, okay, how is this information going to be used? Is that going to work against me next time? Maybe for something
my identity will be exposed or not?
And things like that.
That's a concern.
So, part of our work is, preparing people to understand how, the system works here, to make them feel safe enough to have those conversations and, be able to take the next step of, okay, maybe now I know a little bit, so what's the next step for me? I think one of the key things is when you think about our attitude around health generally. So, back home, you don't go to the doctor unless you're really sick. So it's more like we're looking for a cure when things have really gone bad. But the approach here is more about prevention. So it's really seeking help before something bad happens. And that's sort of the mindset shift that needs to happen and is happening as we become more aware of some of these things. And also, because we understand that, people see things differently. And say, for example, I don't want to go to that clinic so that somebody doesn't see me, I'm doing HIV tests, maybe I have HIV. So it's really about normalizing the issue. It's okay to want to know. Because the only way you can deal with it is if you know, and the only way we can stop transmission is if you know and you are protecting yourself and you are protecting other people.
I think for the work I do, it will be like complex, because the people I work with are identifying themselves as gay and same-sex attracted, and also when they come here and when it comes to being gay, they feel like here is more open, and then they can sort of choose to be themselves, but like depending on the context. But I still feel like they can be judged by people, and people can say bad things about themselves, and a lot of them actually choose to be in a closet as well, like most of the time. So when it comes to sexual health, HIV, hepatitis, and it's like another thing they feel quite bad about, and so it's like two things, and they're sort of like mixed in one pot, and they feel like this is sort of really, really hard to talk about. And even for me, when I approach them, and I wouldn't actually think it's good to actually push them to talk about this. So I always, let them talk at their own pace. So maybe we have a chat about their life, about, the campus they're on, and things like that. So once we sort of build the trust and we get to know each other, so then they might turn around and say, hi Ben, actually, I've been here for a little while. I think there has been an issue I have been coping with, and I hope that I can sort of mention, I'm not sure you mind listening to me about it. Then I think around that time, that will be a perfect timing for me to start talking about, can you tell me more about it? So it might not happen on the first day I meet the person. It can be, a couple of times.
So sometimes about building relationships.
That's a valid point. You're raising the I think the bedrock of the work around this kind of work is the relationship. Unless you build that relationship, like Ben said, you don't get the permission to go to the next level. So a lot of our work is around building relationship with communities, getting to know us, familiar with us, feel comfortable, and then slowly introduce the conversation. Because people need to feel comfortable with you first.
Exactly.
Before they share things that they would sex.
You
know what
exactly,
I mean? We normally don't talk, openly about sex. And then anything associated with sex and morality becomes an issue, and people really don't, talk a lot about it. I think one of the interesting ones around bloodborne viruses, especially the focus of our work, which is HIV and hepatitis, and coming from like Africa and China, when we hear about HIV, automatically we all go into oh my God mode.
That's scary, and
and everyone is still really scared about HIV. And the other thing is that people think because we're now in Australia, there shouldn't be HIV. We got tested, and we still have that fear attached to it. But the reality, though, is HIV history and the prevalence and everything around HIV now, it's shifted so much in the last 30 years. And there's new findings, new medication, even though it cannot be fully cured, but there's medication that makes sure that ensures that people living with HIV can still live, normal, healthy lifestyles. Medication, people can get their viral load to very low, and they can still live normal lives, be healthy.
Still can go to work. And enjoy life. And do things they want to do. I think the most important thing for the cold population is that they're sort of not aware of these things, and because in the cultures where they come from, and this kind of thing is not talked about. I think, for example, in China, and when I grew up, I was just taught to be like a good child and to do well in the schools and to listen to parents and things like that. But for personal health, especially when I was older, then I felt like it was something quite new to me. I was a little bit scared if something that actually happened. So I had no one to talk to. And when I was trying to find if I can talk about this, but my impression about that was that it was not good to talk about it. So when I came here, and I was thinking, wow, here actually we have so many places, like a peace program, and we can go there and talk through things and things like that. The most also another concern I have for the community members that they just I think they're new here, so I think it takes time for them to trust the service we do, and it's also important to point out actually where they can go. And also it takes time for them to understand what we want to do with them. So absolutely. I think it takes time to learn about them, to let them learn about us, and then we have a chat about their life. So rather than just going to them, hey, we're doing like HIV and hepatitis, and they'll be like, what is that? And it's so scary to talk about that. So I think it's very time consuming in some way.
Part of our work is really providing information to communities and even services in terms of how can you work with cold communities to make sure that they are accessing services, bearing in mind that most of us have these misconceptions around some of these key topics. I guess one of the key things is to pay more attention to ourselves, because we know ourselves better than anyone else. And our bodies give us signs. Maybe I'm beginning to feel I've been having this thing which is unusual. I go to the doctors or to the GP to check it out. It's taking more proactive steps in looking after ourselves and not leaving things for too late before we do. And also seeking information, because some things will not give you any signs, and you may never know. But when you seek information and you learn something, actually, I never thought about that. Okay, how about I go and get myself checked and do that? So it's an ongoing process of, getting more aware, educating ourselves, and then taking proactive steps in making sure we are looking after ourselves.
So to me, I think I came here to study, so I studied social work. Back then when I was a student, that was a couple of years ago, and I was a student, I lived, in a share house. But but I did not have any friends. And I went to uni and I did assignment, which was something I felt quite hard to do, because China and here are two different countries. The way how we do assignments is different as well. So I struggle a lot. And back then there was orientation, but it was not much. These days, if I look around, and all the campuses are doing wonderful orientations, it's like they even have the people who came from your culture. They will show you around. They talk in your own language. So they make you feel very welcomed. So I think if students get to see this, or new people see this, they should immediately start having a sense of convenience. It's very convenient actually for no matter who or no matter what culture, they can use a lot of resources, and they can go out and seek help. They have so many people. There are so many people from your cultures that you can talk to. So I think it's important to start, and telling ourselves, before we reach the crisis point, it's important to gather information in Australia, because there are so many community support services like Peace Program, and also there are people who work in a community and they probably come from your culture. And if you think they're out there, why not just go and talk to them? You don't have to share a lot of things about yourself, but basically you can start collecting information, and you can keep with yourself, and because you never know when you need help, but when you really need it, it comes very handy.
So if people need any more information around sexual health, or gambling health, or if they're just not sure about anything, we are always here to provide some element of support, even if we can't work with the particular issue for a long term. Relationship Australia is a big organization with different services that we can then refer people to. People are welcome to come to any of our sites, Relationship Australia, and even if they are not sure, just to ask, and then they'll be directed to the right sources. And they can give us a call on 8245-8100 and ask the front people, the frontline workers about some of this, and then they'll be able to pass them on to the appropriate channels.
And also another thing I just want to add is for Peace team, and we are actually a whole bunch of people who are from so many different cultures. So we are all the ones who have real lived experience of coming to Australia and facing the difficulties and challenges, because when we came to Australia, we had no one else around us to support us, and we have to find a way, and we had to probably choose to study or choose to find a work. So we experience a lot of this. That's why the team that we work in today, and we have lots of experiences, and we truly understand how hard it can be for anyone from overseas, for the Code population. So I think in this sense, the Code people should have a sense of trust toward the work we do, and they just need to come and start with the chat. They don't necessarily need to say, oh, I got this issue or that issue. So I think we're always out there to listen to you.
And then within our team, we have people from different cultures, about 13 nationalities, and we speak more than 20 different languages. So definitely there will be someone who can provide, a familiar language or a familiar faith.